Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to All in Good Sport. My name's Chris Tarkle, and I'm here with Joe Rainbow,
Hello.
Alfie Langford,
Hello.
and Jimmy Blackburn.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, welcome back. This is episode 2 of year 2, which technically is season 3, but I feel like that just kind of complicates things. So I'm going to just go with year 2 and sack off the season dynamic. Just doesn't seem to make much sense. But yeah, no, welcome back. We obviously had our first episode last week, so we are back up and running. All in Good Sport is back, and I think better than ever. We're sort of narrowing down our format and trying to keep the episodes under an hour, and it seems to be going well. Anyway, I'm talking a lot, so someone else have a chat, please.
Yeah, we're back into the swing of it. We're going to start the episode off talking about the exploits of Wing Wednesday FC's second ever match, and how it went a bit better than last Sunday. Then we're going to do a little chat about Premier League. It's back. What we all made of it. Sorry, Chris, we're going to have to talk about Wolves again. We'll talk about United winning, and we'll do a bit of an EFL chat with Mansfield losing and Bradford winning. And then I think we're going to talk about Tommy Tuchel as the new England manager, get our thoughts on that. And then it will be on to all the other wonderful sports of the world. We had the US Grand Prix last night. We've got Chris, he's the expert on American sports. And then
Allegedly.
And then it will be all the other weird and wacky bits in the wonderful world of sport. So I think we've got to talk about Wing Wednesday FC. That's going to be our starting point today. Lads, it went pretty well.
It did, didn't it? I mean, for context, it was 11-0 last week.
Yeah, so we spoke about that last week. Our sort of 11-0 was our first scoreline. We lost 11-0 to Leeds Warren. So 11-0. After that, spirits were down.
Came away
hopes were
thinking,
down.
let's keep it below 7 next game, didn't we?
I mean, you boys all had to pay a fine after that first game.
We did.
A late
You paid your
I
fine this
mean,
morning.
I did.
Oh, you finally paid it, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't comment on that, fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the result on Wednesday.
Yeah, I just
Much
want to.
better.
I want to give sort of a little bit of context about how that kind of came about. So I decided I was retiring from active duty
After one half of the
after
first
one half of the
match.
first. Yeah, after the first match,
He was
I like-
hooked.
I knew what my job was, and I took up the new role as head coach. I think we're referring to it as. So me, Nick, and Alex had a little meeting Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Went through the video footage of the first game and came up with a little tactic. Tried to implement that tactic for the return fixture,
God,
and
did
it
work?
seemingly worked all right. Yeah.
What was that tactic?
That tactic was basically, this could be really boring, but basically the problem that we had in the first game was our back four just separated, and so you had left backs and right backs flying up everywhere. You had then two centre backs who, and to give Alex a lot of credit, he stepped in and played centre back, but he obviously wasn't comfortable playing that role.
That's our owner, Alex.
Yeah, that's the big dog. And then the midfield was too far split, so it was just getting that sort of back six, including the two defensive midfielders and your back four, just getting them aligned, making sure the shape stayed like proper, and making sure we were defensively more solid. And it seemingly worked because the scoreline was 1-1 in the end.
Yeah, fantastic game.
What a contrast.
In the kind of, I love the conditions. It was really misty when we got there and quite dark, and then it started chucking it down the second we got there. So we're all soaked through, and we're playing the team that beat us 11-0. So I think we are, dampened in the literal and figurative
I think
sense.
one telling thing.
I don't think I've
noticed.
ever been wetter, and
Yeah.
I wasn't playing.
Crazy statement.
Well, I think we were warming up on it for about 10 minutes, and the other team had gone inside, sacked it off, and gone for a sit
We
down.
thought they'd fucked off home.
And yeah, we were just.
I think that showed the mentality that we have as a club, though. It was a big statement early doors. Let them know you're there. So we stay out warming up in the rain no matter what. We had a mystery goalkeeper step in.
Yeah.
Shout out to Will, whose surname I don't know.
Do you mean Alfie?
No, I mean
Do you mean Alfie
Alfie Langford, who looked mysteriously not like Alfie Langford.
So yeah, officially, because everyone's got to be registered with the league, and our mystery goalkeeper was not. He had to be Alfie Langford, and I'm pretty sure he memorised your date of birth as well.
He did.
Nice.
So he was a very good stand-in, and the official was none the wiser. I think we should talk about the match. Let's go through it bit by bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's one key thing that we do have to talk about, which is our goal.
Hello.
And I'm not. Me, Joe, and Alfie, we're not qualified to talk about that goal. There's only one man for the job.
Jimmy, how did it happen?
Talk us through it, Jim.
I'm so proud of this. I, Jimmy Blackburn, am the inaugural goal scorer in the history of Wing Wednesday FC. The goal comes in, and we are 1-0 down at this point. It's just, they scored right on the stroke of half-time, Juaren. It was a wayward cross that just ended up in the back of the net. But we went right back up forward. We had a corner. I go up for it. Nick swings it in, and I'm panicking a bit because it's coming towards me, and I don't really know what to do. So I go towards it with my hip, and I kind of try and thrust it in. It comes off my hip, and it bounces in front of the goalie, and he hasn't reacted in time. I go to the ground, and in my, just acting of pure instinct here, I prod it in with my left foot into the side netting. Cue, just
pandemonium.
Absolute pandemonium, yeah.
The scenes on the bench were mental.
Scenes everywhere.
Well, I was obviously, covering at the back, and the goal went in the back of the net. We all, celebrated, and we were trying to figure out who scored the goal.
Yeah, we didn't
and then
know
we just
for
saw a
ages.
misty figure coming out of the fog.
Well, it was Jimmy who kind of ran down like this,
just jumping up and down.
I was jumping for joy.
What I'll do, I'll put the video of the sort of celebration, and I'll put the team picture up on our Instagram so people can see that.
Yeah, I was geeing up the crowd.
Yeah.
There was a chant of "We love you, Blackburn." We do.
That's the stuff dreams are made of.
And it was great, wasn't it?
It was. And then the second half, we held on really well. Position.
Yeah.
We were very disciplined. We enjoyed it by being disciplined.
Third time's the charm on that one.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, I think it was just all around good performance, wasn't it?
That's and the thing is, our fitness will improve as the season goes on. I think second half we didn't really trouble them because we didn't have the fitness to trouble them. But the really positive sign was that we kept it defensively solid all the way through.
We were all dead on our feet.
Well, they had nothing did against us, really.
No.
Well, because in the first game they just kept playing it over the top, and we got caught out of the back.
And so when we had a back four that actually just stayed back, they had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, second time playing together as well, I think we got a bit more.
Oh, 100%. And everyone kind of is
Unity
getting to know
teams.
each other better.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Their mouthy little forward, he didn't have a sniff. I got a crunching one in on him, helped him up, and just looked down on him like the scum he was. But, yeah.
Joe, we also got to talk about Joe's performance, actually.
Joe, you were
Thank you,
fantastic.
yeah.
Because two of the blokes on this table were nominated for Man of the Match. Jimmy Blackburn, obviously, for his goal. And Joe Rainbow for a
Masterclass
stellar
defensive
defensive
performance.
contribution.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well-
neither of us won it, but
No,
we didn't.
but-
No, we weren't quite the best player on the pitch, but considering, our alleged status as footballers, I thought it was quite proud.
That's the thing. And you'd think, not to be disrespectful, but coming into the season, you wouldn't have been...
No,
people
well,
who were-
I don't play football much outside of obviously this. I played at college and stuff before, and I've never been, amazing. But I just think,
But
in a social
on
team,
Wednesday you were.
yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
you played the full 90.
I
Yeah.
did. It's the first time I've ever played a full 90 minutes.
It was really
I was
impressive to be
knackered
there.
afterwards.
But yeah, Henry, we've got to talk about Henry. Henry was great.
Yeah.
Henry Smith, the ginger beacon, as he's sort of colloquially known, I'd argue,
Absolute player.
who won Man of the Match and then celebrated in Man of the Match fashion, really. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, he was player on and off the pitch.
Yeah,
What
let
a
him.
man.
You know what? If that's what he needs
Might
to
have
do
to
to
get a
keep,
guest appearance on to talk.
do we interview Henry about his exploits on Wednesday night?
Oh, some things are better left unsaid.
Yeah.
But we've got another match coming up on Wednesday. We're against Arab Sock.
That's going to be a fucking tidy game. I'm really excited for that.
So
We've had it moved now.
yeah,
3
So
p.m.
it's going to be
kickoff.
it's going to be a 3:00 kickoff. I'm not sure where yet, but if any Leeds listeners are around on Wednesday at about 3:00, come down and support. And we
Mhm,
appreciate everyone who will be there.
we had a
hopefully.
couple of fans. We had your girlfriend was there, isn't
She was there.
That's
Yeah,
probably
that
why he
was it,
played
wasn't
so
it? No. Kirky came down.
Kirky
didn't he?
came and
Yeah.
his course mate Alex came, which was nice of them.
Yeah, so there was 3 of them.
Yeah, but
maybe.
so if we can get more than 3 fans for this next game, that would be bloody lovely.
But yeah, Arab Sock, who are they're one position above us in the league.
Yeah.
So we're 5th out of 6.
And they lost 7-1 last week,
Took a
right?
battering.
They
to
did.
gross
They
misconduct.
took a battering, and
Yeah, to Riley Felix's gross misconduct.
Yeah.
I
Look, we're not
worry.
alleging anything against Riley. That's just the name of the team is gross misconduct. But yeah, that was. fantastic.
Wednesday should hopefully be. I think it'll be a competitive game. I think they'll be quicker than us, but I think we'll be technically better than them. So we'll just see how it
Well,
goes.
we've got a performance to build on now, haven't we?
Yeah,
we
Which is
do.
Key.
That's our benchmark last
Yeah.
week. We've just got to keep pushing.
So Arab Sock's last game that was filmed, wasn't it? So have
Yeah.
you had a look at the footage? What
So
have you made of them?
my day tomorrow, after I finish uni, will consist of going to play golf with the gaffer, and then after golf with the gaffer, he's going to come back to mine. We're going to sit down and watch the Arab Sock
He's
game
having the right time.
and work out our tactic. So basically, I'm living the life. Bit of golf, then a tactical chat with the gaffer, and then
real life FM.
Mate, this is what I'm saying. I actually feel like a football manager, and it is so sick. I need to get like a long coat though. That's the next move. Got to get
We'll
one
soon
of
be
them.
playing in the Premier League.
You were barking orders. We got to talk about this man on the touchline on Wednesday.
I love it.
He
man.
was barking orders. He was winding up the opposition like nobody's business. He was like the Dorking manager Mark White. If you've seen Bunch of Amateurs on TikTok or whatever platform on YouTube, then the Dorking manager Mark White is he's a wind up merchant. And
I
Chris,
love Mark White.
you were channeling him.
That was my aim. I said that in that first game where I sort of stepped in and did a bit. But I said that's my one aim. I want to be like Mark White, and as it stands, it's working. So long may it continue. But I'm really enjoying it.
I think one more shout out has to go to our Scouse winger in James Gavin.
Oh yeah, what a boy! You know what? To be fair to Gav, we
Did you forget who he was for a second after his 2 minutes on the pitch?
I was thinking, who's Scouse? I thought you were talking about Ed. I was like, Ed's not Scouse. But yeah, no, Gav. Actually, do you know what? Fair play to Gav, because Gav came in, and to be fair, it was such a tight game, and I didn't know who was going to get game time. I didn't know how it was going to go. But Gav came on, had his 5-10 minutes on, and to be fair to him, absolutely nothing wrong. Didn't put a foot wrong. However, him running to chase the ball that was going out on the close side. I don't know if either of you saw this.
It's just so funny.
But he ran like Bambi on ice.
Broke his legs.
It was so
It was
funny.
his first sprint on the pitch, and he clearly, I think he was a bit cold because he hadn't really warmed up properly, and he's thrown out there, chucked onto the wing, and he's chasing off this ball, and he just starts stumbling, and I don't know quite how he managed to not fall over, which would have been the cherry on top.
Oh, it would have been.
Oh god, it was the most avant-garde running.
It was very, very funny. But yeah, no, so Wednesday should be good. Hopefully, once we know the details of the game, we'll put it on Instagram, and if people fancy coming down, they can. Shall we move on to some Premier League?
Yeah, the Premier League's back. We were in Old Bar for most of yesterday, and we caught...
I was in Old Bar for all of yesterday.
Wolves Man City, so that finished Wolves 1, Man City 2. Krish, you're the resident Wolves fan. Do you want to talk us through that one?
Yeah. To be fair, I thought coming into yesterday's game that I would be coming in here on Monday and going, fuck it, I'll get Gary O'Neill out. The squad looked useless. Actually, that's not the case. We switched to a back five for the first time this season, and actually that really worked. I thought defensively we were pretty solid through most of the game. The goal that we scored was absolutely lovely. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. But a really nice team move. And then Nelson Semedo gets found on the right side, bombs it down the right and swings a lovely ball in. Ruben Diaz can probably do better, but it's a nice ball in and a great finish from Strand Larsen. So we went 1-up. And then, yeah, to be honest, like the game, it was an interesting one. Like, the thing is, City were knocking on the door for most of the game. There was no way that we were going to hold out the whole time. The issue is, and this is where a lot of the discourse has been about this game, is the VAR issue at the end. For me, it isn't an issue in the... If you take out any context of any other game and you just view it as an isolated incident, that goal should stand.
What was the VAR issue again?
So the corner comes in. This is for City's winner, the John Stones header. The ball comes in, and as the ball is in the air, Bernardo Silva is backed up into Jose Sarr. As John Stones heads the ball, Bernardo Silva is away from Jose Sarr. He's crouched down. He's not affecting the line of sight. Jose Sarr isn't going to be moving forward, so there's no issue with Silva's positioning. He's in an offside position as the ball is struck, but he's not affecting the play. The problem is, and so that for me, I have no issue with that. That goal can stand. The problem is, in other situations, that goal hasn't been given. So for us, we had a last-minute equaliser against West Ham last season. Max Kilman scored a header, and Tawanda Chirowa was stood in front of the keeper, and that was given as no goal. So for me, it's not an issue of that goal, it's an issue of consistency with the application of the rules. So where do we stand on that?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Krish. There was... The problem with VAR for the majority of this season, at least, has not really been in its application to the rules, which I think has been fairly solid. There's not been many major howlers as of yet. I mean, we're only in October. But it is that consistency. And we saw, if we move on to the Liverpool-Chelsea game, Tosin Adarabioyo in the 5th minute gets caught on the halfway line, and he brings Diogo Jota down on the halfway line, gets the yellow card. In the match that happened the night before, William Saliba does pretty much the same thing to Evan Nilsson, but he gets sent off. It's that consistency that we're just not seeing.
But the problem is, and I think the biggest issue comes from, because football, each game is so unique, the problem is there's no, having that complete consistency is really hard. The problem is that's what VAR is then put in place to do, is to go, okay, if this is the standpoint that we have on this issue, then that's the standpoint that we use for every example of this issue. So in an issue like that what's his name?
Tosin Adarabioyo.
Adarabioyo, right? In that Adarabioyo challenge, then we've got to refer back and go, actually, if that's a sending off in the game previous, it has to be a sending off now. And the thing is, it was the Saliba red card was a red card.
Yeah, I think maybe you could argue that there was enough in the mitigating circumstances for Tosin in that you could make the argument that there was a covering defender there.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing. That one was a bit more like there's leeway. Saliba was blatantly the last man. So that one is like, that's a straight red, that's fine. And I get that. But it's such an issue where, because there is no consistency, things happen and we're not going, okay, this is the ball's hit his hand by his side, it's not handball, or it is handball. But it feels like the referees are making up how to apply the rules each time that it happens.
Do you think that's more of an issue with sort of the people who run VAR? They're not football people. There's been a bit of discourse about getting people who step in, who ex-professional, who played the game, referees. Do you think that would sort of help?
That to me makes sense.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I just think it like, as a Wolves fan, and we've spoken previously about how Wolves have been, shafted a little by VAR over the last season. But actually, like, it's really difficult being a football fan in the era of VAR, where something will happen and you're watching the replay and you have no idea what this outcome's going to be. And that shouldn't be the case in a sport that has written rules, guidelines, and then a video system to enforce it. You never see in cricket, where there is a similar thing with Hawkeye and with reviews, you never see in cricket where an LBW decision is happening and I don't know, what the outcome's going to be, because it's clear and obvious. I understand that cricket is a more contained thing, there's one ball and one batsman, but at the same time, cricket has millions of rules, but yet we're able to enforce all of them to the same level every time that they happen. Whereas in football, it just feels like there's no consistency. The amount of football that has been played over time, and yet we still can't understand how to apply the rules, is mental.
Though I think, yes, there are written rules and stuff to follow, but I think in a sport like football, as you said, it's beyond that. It's about taking each sort of example as it goes. And I think if you did get people in who understand the game, who've played it,
100%. I like the idea of ex-professionals.
They'd be more, well judged well informed to make those decisions based on each different scenario that came about, because they are all separate issues.
It does, at the end of the day, it does come down to human opinion. While we want to look at VAR as this kind of computer thing that is 100% correct all of the time, it is still human decision at the end of the day. We are still, while we're using technology to make these decisions, the final decision is made by a human. So it's a matter of opinion, but then we need to be a bit more open about that and go, this is the evidence I have. With this evidence, this is the outcome that I am giving.
And it just comes down to whose opinion is correct, doesn't it?
But I would also really like a bit more transparency with it, and in the same way that with rugby, where you hear the referee talking, in American football, where the decision is explained to you after a penalty happens. So, and that's in the stadium. Everyone can hear that. The audience at home can hear that. All it would take is for the referee to go, this is why I'm giving this penalty.
Yeah. And we're kind of halfway towards that now with the referees. There's a Twitter account now that explains the VAR decisions from the Premier League, kind of just as they happen. And that's fine, but that is not going the full way with transparency. It's a cop-out, I think, really. Welcome that it's there, but there needs to be more. I want to talk about another controversial decision in a Premier League match this weekend, but it wasn't to do with VAR. This was in the Man United-Brentford match. Finished Man United 2, Brentford 1. Brentford went ahead through Ethan Pinnock's header just before half-time, right on the stroke of half-time, and this is where the controversy arose, because Matthijs de Ligt was off the pitch being treated for a head injury at the time, probably our best aerial defender, and he's off the pitch. We're defending 10v11, Brentford score. Ethan Pinnock gets a free run and scores a bullet header. The problem arose when de Ligt got a knee to the head in I think it was the first 10 minutes or so, in a clash with Kevin Schade. He's got a big cut on his head. He comes off the pitch for the first time. It gets dressed up. It then starts bleeding again. He gets sent off the pitch to get that addressed again. And then right before this corner is taken, right on the stroke of half-time, the referee sends him off because it's bleeding again, or it looks like it's bleeding. Erik ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Matthijs de Ligt, and the United medical team argued that it was dry blood and that he should have been able to continue. But I think that's an issue really with the Man United medical team not addressing this wound problem.
I think we've attempted to dress it up 3 times and it's still an issue.
Look, that's their problem.
I think that's more of an unfortunate error, isn't it, really? And,
yeah.
There's nothing you can do about that as a referee.
No, both Ten Hag and Van Nistelrooy got booked for their protestations. But United came back and won. Some really nice goals in there. For a team that's been lacking attacking threat all season. I mean, going into this week, only Southampton had scored fewer league goals than us. And, I mean, we've still only scored 7. Wolves have scored more than us.
Yeah.
Bottom of the league, Wolves. 1 point, Wolves.
Minus 13 goal difference.
You've put on here that you think Ten Hag is safer now. Do you not think it's more flogging a dead horse? These wins sort of, he's down and next week he's sort of in.
I mean, yeah,
we're just going to stop and appreciate that phrase. I love that phrase.
Yeah. It was a great phrase. I don't really know why I put it in, to be honest, the Ten Hag safe for now, because it's a bit of a moot point. Of course a win's going to buy you safety.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what it does.
But in the overall debate of Ten Hag in and out, does it really change things?
Probably not, but like it's a results business, and if he keeps getting results, he's going to stay.
That's the thing. If he wins his next 5,
I suppose,
then you go,
I'm not going to complain if we win our next 5 and Ten Hag's still in the job because of that. Garnacho scored a lovely goal on the volley after a quite delicious whip ball in from Rashford, who, again, I've slated Rashford for near on a year now, but the past month or so he's shown a lot of his former self in his performance.
Purple patch, though, isn't it?
Perhaps,
yeah.
But it's happy to see. And Rasmus Højlund scored his first league goal of the season. Delightful chip over Mark Flecken, and we held on pretty well. I watched the highlights back, and Brentford didn't have a threat really in the second half. We seemed to control it, so you take the 3 points and move on. We've got a Europa League match against Fenerbahce away. Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce.
I like that.
With Fred in midfield.
Oh, yeah, that's a goal. That's a guaranteed. I'm putting a 5 on a Fred goal.
Yeah. Fenerbahce 1-0, Fred's 50 minutes.
It's Fred goal and red card.
Yeah.
So, United won. Arsenal were really the big losers from this weekend in terms of Prem.
They missed a big chance, didn't they? Because obviously Man City got their last minute
run to the Lou
win that I don't think they really sort of banked on, really. Liverpool beat Chelsea, and Arsenal lost a bit of ground, haven't they? Losing that.
Quite a shock result.
It was. What did you make of it, Prod?
Well, I kind of saw the highlights come up on my phone, and I was really shocked that, like, 1 goal, 2nd goal. I didn't really know what was going on, because obviously Arsenal's meant to be quite defensively sound. So it was quite surprising to see them conceding so much.
One thing I saw as well was made a big fuss out of from Mikel Arteta was the red card problem that Arsenal got at the moment. I think is it 3 red cards so far this season,
and in all of those games they've dropped points.
And they've dropped points in those games, which is, I mean, it's a very valid point. Going down to 10 minutes does hinder yourself. And I think when Saliba got sent off, it was 0-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really early on. It was the first half hour or so.
How do you think that affects their sort of chances, really? Do you think it's a one-off?
Well, no, because I really do think they've got a discipline problem. Like, they've got, since Arteta got the job back in Christmas 2019, they've had more red cards than anyone else in the league by 5 red cards. They've had 18 red cards since 2019, and already 3 this season. And 3 for, they've had 2 were for...
Declan Rice was sent off, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he got sent off for kicking the ball away.
Yep.
Trossard got sent off for the same thing, and then Saliba gets done for a professional foul last man. A lot of Arsenal fans will say, they should never have been red cards, and they've got a bias against us, as every team will do.
2 of which were ridiculous to give away, weren't they? From an Arsenal player's perspective. It was
silly.
stupidity.
It's naivety that I wouldn't expect from a team that are in kind of
contention for the title.
Yeah.
They're in the peak of their project, and these players should be mature enough to not make these really silly errors that are clearly costing them. Draw against Man City, draw against Brighton, and now a loss against Bournemouth, and suddenly they're 4 points behind City and Liverpool already.
Well, that's the difference between them and City and obviously Liverpool, is the teams that have that. Those 2 sides don't have that in their game, really, do they? And they've got the maturity to go on and win titles.
Well, even you take the City game against us yesterday, where actually in the first half we looked like a really good side. We were doing them on the counter more often than not, and we could have had 2 or 3 goals. Second half, they didn't give us a sniff. It's that kind of that winning mentality of going.
I don't think Man City were on the best game either.
No, and that's the thing, they didn't have their best game.
Really.
But what they do is they just knock on the door and knock on the door. Yeah, exactly. They know how to win. They can structure a game in that they won't look great, but they'll still come out of it with the win. Where and again, like you could see a game where City go a man down and still win it, whereas Arsenal, I think they kind of sank back into themselves a little bit and kind of they took that red card and went, shit, we've lost the game now.
Absolutely. Do you know how many matches unbeaten in the league that is now for Man City?
I don't. How many?
Have a guess. Take a guess.
Ooh. So I'm guessing they're unbeaten this season then.
They are unbeaten this season, and it stretches back a fair way to last season.
I will say 22.
Give us a number, Chris.
I'm going to say 19.
31.
Wow. That is a lot more than I thought.
31
that's
match
ridiculous.
Unbeaten run for Man City. And I agree. They haven't looked great. Even really in the last few weeks.
When was the last time Erling Haaland scored a goal? It seems like a while ago. It's been quite a long time, hasn't it?
But it's 3 game weeks, but you had the international break, so it feels like longer.
Yeah, my fantasy is hurting because of that.
Can we chat about FPL quickly?
Yeah, we can.
Had a bloody great week.
You've had a cracking week from Mr. Michael Keane.
Yeah,
Everton centre back turned like prime fucking Batistuta.
Mate, what a boy. Like, that goal he scored was unreal, but I ended up on 68 points this week. Proddy, you had a 48, Jimmy with a 41, and Joe Rainbow 36, which is above average still. It could be worse, though. Alex Dulek dropped to 28. Ooh. Even Gav's team beat him. And Gav's team is
Has he got about 6 injuries in there?
Gav's team is honking. He's got Jordan Ayew.
He had Alisson, who is injured, Sancho Colwill, Stones.
Sancho, is he even still playing the Premier League?
Yeah, he's got Almiron.
Ooh.
He had Foden, who didn't start.
So
Jordan Ayew, who got 6 points.
Though we did get the assist, didn't he?
He scored the winner, Ayew, for Leicester.
Did he?
I mean, that was a great comeback for Leicester. 2-0 down away at Southampton. They win 3-2. Southampton, I think, are dead set on relegation now. They're even worse than Wolves, which is impressive.
I don't know.
It was just a good weekend of Premier League football, wasn't it?
It's
what we needed after an international break.
Yeah, it's really.
I hate the international break.
It's really livened things up. I want to chat.
I never used to, but I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to chat about the EFL boys.
Yep.
Mansfield and Bradford.
Mansfield, you lost, didn't you?
Yeah. And it was kind of a moment to bring us back to reality. We was on a high of unbeaten.
So you were 5 games unbeaten, was it?
Yeah, and we hadn't 5 wins in a row. Hadn't lost at home. Then we play Stevenage, who hadn't won a game away, and lose 1-0. But from what I saw on Twitter and a lot of places, that we still played pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was ex Bradford boy, Jay Young, wasn't it? Who went and scored the winner. It was,
yeah. But still up there, still 4th.
Mm-hmm.
It's great going for you.
It is. To be at this position, even like if we'd lost other games, it's still amazing.
No, you'd bite your hand off to be 4th in the League One, would you?
I'd bite your hand off just for a win. I was expecting us to be kind of down there, fighting relegation.
So, I mean, going forward for the rest of the season, how does the outlook look? Have you been playing well enough to sort of be up there?
I think we can. We just need to maintain ourselves with injuries and bring in some new players in the January transfer window. Because we've got a lot of injuries at the moment, I think.
And I'm guessing you've still got the basis of your League 2 squad in there.
Yeah. He initially started using our attackers for defenders, which is what lost.
Is Christy Pym still in there?
He is. He's quality.
We've just had a look. I'm just watching the highlights now. Yeah. The goal you conceded was a bloody lovely free kick, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he's done really well with
it. Yeah. He got the call up to Northern Ireland the other week.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't play, understandably. But
that's what we're missing out when we sold him to.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, the goals that we usually concede are silly mistakes. Yeah. So to actually have one that's, you can't really do it about it. It's kind
was
of
Jake
nice.
Young the lad who was top of the league goal scoring last year? Or he was up there?
It always seems to happen with us Bradford strikers. We send players out on loan. Owen Doyle, as you might remember a couple of seasons ago, we sent him on loan to Swindon. And then he went and got top goal scorer in the league. And then the same thing happened with Jake Young. We sent him off to Swindon as well. That wasn't last season. It was the season before, I think. Was it last season? And he went and got top goal scorer in the league.
Well, you got a good striker from us.
Yeah, but
Andy Cook.
on Jake Young, he came back and then we sold him. I think it was a 6-figure fee to Stevenage. So
fair enough.
He wasn't going to play for us. He was a good player, but he just didn't make the cut.
Yeah, Joe, you were at Valley Parade this weekend.
I was. Yeah, it was good because I've only been to 3 games this season, and I've picked them well because we've won all of our games that I've been to. I believe. And we were good. Yeah, we were bloody good.
Talk to us about Jack Shepherd's goal.
Well, first of all, I got there 20 minutes late, so I missed the Gillingham goal. So I saw 2 brilliant goals from our centre halves. For context, our defenders never score goals, which is a massive thing for us. My dad scores on about it all the time. It is usually just get the ball to Andy Cook and he'll supply the goals. And he didn't, he wasn't that great this weekend, to be honest with you. But we didn't need him because Neil Byrne, centre half, scored a goal on the stroke of half time. And a couple of minutes later, Jack Shepherd with an amazing volley.
Cracking goal.
Which I've showed you before we started.
If you haven't seen that, go and look it up on
And
YouTube.
Just
Unreal.
to put the picture in your head, if you've ever seen Zidane's volley against Leverkusen in 2001 in the Champions League final.
Jack Shepherd has emulated him.
I think it's no, right up to a T. I mean, Bradford City have been using it on the social medias, taking the clips.
Well, they've got to use something.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And it was an amazing volley. I think it'd be up there for contender of the season. One thing I noted as well, I was obviously driving back from the game, and Graham Alexander on the radio was saying how it was the best performance of the season, which, I mean, fair enough. I mean, against a promotion rival in Gillingham, who, I mean, they're a very strong side. They've had so much investment over the summer. And I think that's the sort of win that we sort of been missing the last couple of seasons, is against a team like Gillingham coming from behind at home to win. I mean, that's what sets your promotion teams apart from your others.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we were great.
Yeah, and finally to wrap up kind of all our teams, Chippenham Town. Chippenham Town 3, Hemel Hempstead 0, and I think Hemel Hempstead were, they were in the playoff spots whilst we were down in like 19th going into this one. But my mum and dad went down. They went down with my uncle because my aunt was sponsoring the game. So she was she was in the director's box. My arch FPL rival, Auntie Jo, who won't be listening, but if you do, I'm going to beat you again. Great performance, apparently. I wasn't there. I'm 4 hours away, but a much-needed league win for the Bluebirds, Gary Horgan's Blue and White Army. We are a fair bit away from the relegation zone now. I think that moves us above Bath City, which is obviously fantastic because we hate Bath. And that was our first league win since August, the 31st of August.
Auntie Jo had a rotter of a week, by the way.
Yeah, she
Have
did.
you
25 points.
Have you been drawn in the FA Cup, Jimmy? Have you got in the FA Cup?
No, we got knocked out of the FA Cup by Western Supermare.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was, we were seeing some discontent on the socials from some Chippenham fans because we hadn't got a win in a while and knocked out the FA Cup. Spirits were down, but a big 3-0 win to lift us back up and hopefully propel us forward. Other football news: Lionel Messi has scored 2 hat-tricks in 1 week, which is pretty remarkable.
And they're in the MLS Cup. What stage are they at now?
Don't know.
No idea.
What I do know is that
I think it's
Leo Campagna, who was shit at Wolves, is now playing for Inter Miami alongside Messi, Suarez,
Jordi Alba,
Busquets
is there as well.
But it's like Jesus Vallejo, who now plays for Real Madrid alongside the likes of Mbappe, Jude Bellingham. He was the worst player I've ever seen in a Wolves shirt. Like, genuinely diabolically shit. And I don't understand how he's doing it.
I mean, his move to MLS is certainly going a lot better than Ronaldo's Saudi.
I just dislike Ronaldo. I don't know what it is. There's just something I truly, utterly dislike about him.
Right, our final bit of football news, I think we've got to talk about Thomas Tuchel, who's been named the England manager from January 2025. Are we happy with the German in charge left?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a good manager. He's better manager
I don't think
he
has any
English
bearing
manager.
on the job whatsoever, really.
No. I think it's actually a little bit ignorant to even have the debate.
We've had foreign managers in the past.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big thing with this one is that he's a German manager.
Yeah.
But I don't see that at all as an issue. I think.
But also, he's
whoever the
managed in
best-
England. Like, do you know what I mean? He
Yeah.
knows the English system. So if it was a manager who had never managed in England, you could have an issue. But Thomas Tuchel was very successful with Chelsea.
And the thing is, I mean, obviously having an English manager, great, would be great. Have someone who understands obviously the nation and whatever. But I don't think it's a case of. I think he's the best man for the job you need.
Yeah.
And there isn't a better English manager than Thomas Tuchel. To
No.
be frank. Do you know what I mean? I think he's the best manager out there.
Well, you
who
look
could get in.
historically, most of the best managers aren't English. If we
Well,
want
there you go.
success, we go non-English. and
Look,
it
an
seems
English
to work.
manager has not won the Premier League since its inception in '92.
Wow.
Bloody hell, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no English manager.
Fact.
Just
bringing that back.
Our best English managers are Eddie Howe, who's never won anything.
Who actually is overrated, I think.
Yeah, I think. I don't
Well,
think.
there you go. Who's better, Thomas Tuchel or Eddie Howe?
Thomas Tuchel.
Every day of
yeah,
the week. Do you know what I mean?
Who's better, Thomas Tuchel or Sean Dyche?
Thomas Tuchel.
Do you know what I mean?
Who's better, Thomas Tuchel or I don't know, Chris Wilder?
Always a close one. That.
Yeah, it's not a debate. I think the best man's got the job.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
and I like him.
Have you heard the talk that he's set for a $3 million bonus if he wins England the World Cup in 2026? I think that's
the shit that winners do.
He's a serial trophy winner. He always won the league with PSG and
won the Champions League with Chelsea.
Dortmund. Did he win it with Dortmund in 20?
No, I think
17.
I think Klopp was the last one to win the league with Dortmund.
Right. Well, but obviously he won it with Chelsea and Bayern Munich. Did he win the league with Bayern Munich?
Yeah, he would have done with Kane and that.
So yeah.
Tidy gaffer. Very excited.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think he'll be good with the young players as well.
Yeah,
and obviously people comment on his style of play and what have you, but I think when you're in tournaments and you're in situations like that, it doesn't really matter. You just need to get over the line. And you have someone who's got experience of winning trophies.
And he is a winner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. That's what we need for an England manager. We need a winner, and that's what he is.
I think the last thing, obviously, to touch on with Tuchel is he put in his statement regarding the national anthem. Now, what do you think his stance would be on that?
He's German. He shouldn't sing the national anthem.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Jimmy, do you agree?
I think he'll respect it.
Yeah, he'll
I
stand
don't
for
think
it.
there's any issue with it, to be honest. You have English players who don't sing the English
He's not going to boo through it.
Kaza didn't sing it either.
There you go.
Yeah, Trent doesn't sing it, so...
No.
There you go.
And exactly, that's the thing. If you want to sing it, sing it. If you don't, don't.
Yeah, and I think there's one more point to make as well on the people who are sort of against, obviously, a foreign manager taking the job, is those people who don't want an English manager will call him for Pep.
Yeah.
And he's not English, is he?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sam feels honorarily English.
It is.
Sam Wallace in the Telegraph put out an article saying, England must be ambitious and aim for Pep. And then when Tuchel gets announced, literally a week later, he's like, this goes against everything English. You know, it's utter bollocks.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. And I wouldn't expect anything less from the Telegraph at the moment. What a rag.
But yeah, it'd be good appointment, and I think it'll be
100%.
Yeah.
You know.
Last night we had the F1 back from its 4-week hiatus. We were at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. We were at Old Bar watching that one, and it was a Ferrari 1-2 for the first time in a long, long time. But that wasn't really the main talking point. It was the championship clash, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, and in particular an incident in the last few laps. Chris, you were there.
Yeah.
What did you make of it?
Yeah. It was really interesting. The race itself wasn't particularly great. First half, not much happened, and then Jimmy left and everything interesting happened. But yes, we had a bit of a scrap. Lando looked a lot quicker than Max did. And there was a lot of back and forth between them. Lando was kind of hunting behind him for a while. And there was a sort of corner where they both went in. And to most viewers and to all of us who were sat there in the pub and everyone I spoke to about it, we were all kind of in agreement that Max Verstappen had not physically pushed him off, but sort of engineered it in a way that Lando had nowhere to go. Either he would turn into Max and crash, or give Max the position. The ruling of the FIA was that was Lando's fault, that he had exceeded track limits, and that Lando would then be docked 5 seconds, and so ended up finishing below Max Verstappen. It was a backwards decision. But also, it kind of raises another point, and I think it's something we've spoken about on here before, which is Max Verstappen's style of driving. And it was actually Ed, who we play football with, who raised a strong point, which is Max's style of driving is either you give me the track or you crash into me. It's very kind of, if there's a corner, he will drive this line, and that's it. Either you take the line and crash into Max, or you give him the position. It's so aggressive. But because Max Verstappen is so good, we kind of overlook that. And I think he gets a lot of free passes with the FIA, where other drivers doing the same thing wouldn't.
I think he's an incredibly smart driver. And I think this weekend, last night, he showed what an incredibly smart driver who's got an incredible grip of the rules and knows how to manipulate them and bend them without breaking them.
But I agree with that. And I agree that if I'm in Max's shoes, I'd do the exact same thing. You've got to bend the rules as far as you can. However, from the FIA, and I'm looking at that, it's not fair to the other drivers. In that corner, Lando had two options. Either come off the racing line, go off the track, and avoid the crash, or stay on the racing line and crash into Max Verstappen. And then he's penalised for going off the track.
So Max was defending third place from Lando, and he'd been defending for like 10 laps or so, and had done a good job. Lando's trying to pass him on the outside, and he looks like he's about to be ahead going into the corner, But bless you, Chris.
Very high pitched
That was
sneeze. That was
so feminine. But because Max broke later, he carried more speed into the corner. I was watching Tomo F1's late stream after the race, which was really good and insightful. And because Max got to the apex first, however you want to define it, he therefore had that corner. He had the right, in the rule book. He has the right to that corner, and despite him going all four wheels off the track, because Lando then passes him on the outside, you can't gain an advantage by leaving the track. So Lando gets the penalty, and the Sky team were all in agreement that Lando should have got the penalty. But I think his gripe, a lot of the fans' gripe, and I think my gripe with the rules is that Max didn't make the corner. Just because he got to the apex first, because he was carrying a load of speed and broke later than Lando, he wasn't ever going to make the corner. He wasn't a million miles away from it.
But this is the point.
But he didn't make it.
Max, he knows that he can kind of get away with that. And I think that's what I dislike. I think the rule itself is flawed. Not necessarily Max's breaking of it, because... Well, not breaking of it, but Max's exploitation of it. Because if it's in the rules, do it. But it comes across as Max being overly aggressive, and actually the rules should be changed to reflect that that's not the way you want to drive. Because if you're in Lando's shoes, you've got to either turn into Max or fuck off the track.
Well, I think that's what Lando's got to learn, because I still think he's quite a naive driver.
Yeah.
He gave, on lap 1, he has pole position. He gives Max room on the inside, which Max would never do.
No.
And he lets, allows Max to bully him and push him off the track.
Yeah.
Max in that corner did keep a wheel on the track, and because it's a lap 1 incident anyway, the stewards are very lenient.
Yeah.
So they weren't going to punish him for that, allowing the Ferraris to go through and carry on and do their thing. In terms of the championship, that now leaves Max 57 points ahead of Lando with 5 races to go, pretty much wrapping up the championship, barring any, drama in terms of DNFs, which don't look likely. The only DNF in that race actually was Lewis Hamilton, who had an absolute honking weekend.
Yeah,
qualified 19th,
and then span it in the race.
Yeah,
and then got beached and couldn't reverse. It was just quite sad.
Was that first lap?
Yeah, first and second. Yeah, just a horror show from him.
Yeah.
But I want to big shout outs to Liam Lawson and Franco Colapinto.
Colapinto is the guy. I really, really like him. And he looks like a tidy driver. Like, he was overtaking Alonso yesterday. Yeah. And was just like, that's my guy.
P10 for him in the Williams. He beat teammate Alex Albon by a few places. Albon, he did get a bit shafted at the start. He was involved in a tangle with Esteban Ocon. And Liam Lawson, in his first race for RB since replacing Daniel Ricciardo, P9, 2 points, cracking drive.
Yeah, really good from him. To be fair, it was a decent race. It didn't set the world on fire, but there was a lot of talking points and a bit of excitement.
Chris, have you got a little American football, American sport in general roundup for us?
Yeah, I hadn't actually seen this, but Ricky Pearsall, who made his NFL debut 50 days after being shot this weekend, which is...
After being shot?
After being shot. Straight up shot. He got shot in the chest during an armed robbery 50 days ago. Made his debut for the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions, this weekend. Absolute nutter.
Toy.
But yeah, respect. Other than that, I actually didn't watch any NFL this weekend, so I don't have much to talk to you about. Because the Bears, I'll be honest, I watch when the Bears are playing, and when they're not playing, I don't really watch. But it was a bye week for the Bears, so I don't have a Bears update for you. I've got a bit of golf news, which is about the Showdown, I think it's called, which I wrote an article about, which is actually available on the Griffin.
It will also, I'm pretty sure, be in the print this month.
Get in there! Come on. It's the first article I've actually written, in ages and ages. But yeah, the Showdown is basically, it's a golf match between Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, who are taking on Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler in Vegas in December. But that'd be really cool. There's a thing called The Match, which is kind of a similar thing, and it's kind of used to settle... athletes will sometimes compete in it, or you have big matches. I think Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson had a match, but this is kind of separate to that, but being produced by the same people. It'll be on TNT Sports, so for everyone who's got a TNT subscription, it'll be free to watch. But it'll be a great match. It's kind of Live versus PGA, so that's going to be a really cool event. and should hopefully be quite competitive. I think McElroy and Scheffler will kill them, but you just don't know. But that'll be fun. In other news, cricket-wise, Joss Butler's been ruled out of the ODI series against West Indies. There's a tour of the West Indies coming up. Butler had been out with a calf injury, but has had a setback in his recovery, and now Liam Livingstone is set to captain, which I quite like. I like him as a captain. I'm not sure about him as a player, but he's a good bloke.
Did you catch much of the second test against Pakistan?
I saw enough to... I wasn't worried, necessarily. It was kind of... I think England came in a bit too big for their boots, and actually, obviously we spoke last week about how dominant England were, but actually it was an entirely different pitch, and Pakistan spinners just ripped through us. Ben Stokes had a bit of a rotter, but the spinners were great. Jack Leach, he came at an interview and said he's enjoying his cricket again, which is always good. But I don't know, it just feels a little, actually kind of naive from England to go, yeah, we broke all these records last game, let's go do it again.
Yeah.
And actually, we needed to play the situation a little bit better. But I'm not worried. I think we'll be fine. I just, I don't want it to be the case. And this is the thing, because every time a thing like this happens, we just go, it's Bazball, it's going to happen. It's like, no, we don't need to play the same way every time. Let's adjust and adapt. Like, we could have taken it slower and we didn't. But hey-ho.
Keeping with cricket, something I saw earlier.
Are you talking about cricket?
What
Yeah,
the fuck? I'm going to do the jockey today in a minute.
Something I saw earlier was that New Zealand claimed their first Test victory in India in 36 years.
Wow.
It's only their third ever. And the first innings, they won by a lead of more than 350 runs.
Christ.
Yeah, they bowled out India for 46.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't know it was
Yeah.
against New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, let me look at the scorecard. I've
was
not actually,
fun.
I've
They
not actually
pulled it
looked
back
into this.
slightly in the second innings, but still kind of lost out.
Shit, Matt Henry took a 5. Yeah, this William O'Rourke, I'd never heard of him,
Mm.
but he looks tidy.
I think I saw
Rachin Ravindra, what a sick name, by the way. So, Rachin Ravindra, if I can get this right, his first name is a portmanteau of, it's Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah.
Mate, that's so good. But yeah, 134 against India, which is just bloody great. And then, to be fair, Sarfaraz and Rishabh Pant came out and put some runs on. But again, New Zealand were just too strong.
Yeah, a great week for New Zealand cricket, because in the Women's T20 World Cup, they beat South Africa in the final and took the crown. They won by 32 runs. Amelia Kerr was the player of the tournament. Just a fantastic week for New Zealand sport in general, because, and I mentioned this last week, but I'm going to talk about sailing again. Because
everyone clicks off.
Emirates Team New
Retention
Zealand
jobs.
absolutely destroyed Ineos Britannia and claimed the America's Cup. In the best of 13 series, they won 7-2. I've got a mate called Jacob from back home. He does sailing, and I asked him for his opinions on it, and he said he hadn't really caught up with it, but he recommended this YouTuber called Mozzie Sails, and I watched this guy, and it's just incredible the level of detail he gets into about the boats and kind of the technical aspects.
That's the most Tory thing I've ever
I had absolutely
Hurrah.
no clue.
What's his sales, yeah?
Genuinely a really fascinating guy, and I would highly recommend checking out, because I learned a lot in about half an hour. But basically, the problem for Ineos was their boat was really fast, but only in a very specific set of conditions when there were very high winds, whereas the Emirates Team New Zealand, their boat was better in pretty much every other set of conditions, and that's why they went on and won. Their tactics were better. They adapted really well to changing winds, and he said that was probably down to back home in New Zealand in the harbours. The wind direction changes all the time, and you've got to be able to read the winds to be successful. But yeah, that New Zealand team, I think that's back-to-back America's Cups now. Ineos have already lodged a challenge for next America's Cup, so we'll see if they get more funding from Jim Ratcliffe and from potentially another sponsor, whether Ben Ainsley will stay on. But yeah, check out Mozzie Sails, really interesting guy.
I think moving on from that, we had the sad news this week that Chris Hoy, 6-time gold medal winner, his cancer's terminal. Now it's been announced, hasn't it? Which is obviously not good news. That was first diagnosed last year in February. And now, obviously, the sad news that he's only got
Is it
testicular
cancer?
No, prostate
Prostate
cancer.
cancer.
He's only got 2 to 4
Yeah.
years left to live now, which is obviously sad for him and his family.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I don't know enough really to sort of comment.
I mean,
but
such an elite
yeah.
level cyclist. I think he was the world record holder for so many records before he was eclipsed by his teammate Kenny. What's his name?
Oh,
Jimmy will know that
yeah.
he's gone. He's run away.
is he married to the female cyclist?
Let me find it. Jason Kenny. Kenny.
Yeah,
eclipsed his
I
record.
recognise that
But
name.
up there with one of the best cyclists.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Britain's ever produced. Obviously, sad news there.
Yeah. Proddy, do you want to give us a little tennis update?
I can.
As Jimmy Blackburn's run away. He's back.
So we had the Six Kings Slam this
Mm-hmm.
week,
Yep.
which was Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Medvedev, and Rune.
I've heard of all of the others. Who the hell is the last one?
He is a Danish player who's kind of recently got himself into the. I think he's top 10, top 20.
He's not as good as the other five.
No, it's kind of it is a bit of a rogue. Sorry, it is a bit of a rogue, kind of sixth member.
Yeah, he's
of
not
this-
as good as the other five guys.
Peter Wright in the Premier League of darts still. Like, come on, man.
Now, I'll tell you one thing that I found today. I was scrolling through while trying to plan this podcast a little bit. I found a really good article on Shakhtar Donetsk, going back to football for a minute, about them
Hang
playing
about. He
football.
was talking about bloody tennis. It wasn't finished.
It's not finished.
It just
No, I
started.
literally
Go
just
on.
made,
You big
And then I'll
doss.
tell you about my article that I found.
yeah.
Go on.
Give him a tease, yeah. Each player was guaranteed to take home 1.5 million, and the winner was getting 6 million.
In tennis terms, is that a lot?
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think I saw something that it was. I can't remember. I think it was like 39% of what Alcaraz has earned already.
Shit to heck. Fair.
Sinner beat Alcaraz in the final, 6-7, 6-3, 6-3, which is the first time that he's beat Alcaraz this season. And Djokovic got to play Nadal one last time.
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. He played him in the third place match and beat Nadal 6-2, 7-6, and kind of did like a nice little heartwarming little message to Nadal. It allowed him to be on the pitch court on his own, to have that one last moment with the crowd.
So sweet.
Yeah, it was.
We've got a new women's world number one as well.
We have, yeah.
Arina Sabalenka has finally overhauled Iga
Yeah.
Swiatek.
Took time.
It took
But-
11 months.
Yeah. Very deserved though, I would say.
Yeah, US Open champion. Has
Mhm.
been very dominant.
Across all of the tournaments, I'd say.
Yeah. Joe,
Come
go
on,
on.
Here
you've
we go.
teased us.
So,
Go
yeah,
on.
as I was saying, I read a really good article on Shakhtar Donetsk the other day.
That's really cool. Moving on.
And the impracticalities of sort of playing football in a country blighted by war, obviously with the Ukraine.
Is that the
war
one on
going
BBC Sport?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the first thing that stuck out to me is they played the home matches in 7 different cities over the past 10 years through that period of conflict. In Lviv, Kharkiv, Kiev, Warsaw in Poland, obviously Hamburg and Gelsenkirchen in Germany. Now, they're no stranger to conflict. They've obviously had to evacuate in 2014 after the sort of separatist movement in Ukraine. But this year, the hotel that they stayed in September was bombed by...
Sorry, I can't
by
get over
missiles.
Joe's geopolitics.
Yeah. What the hell's happened to Joe Rainbow this year?
An expert on the Ukraine war. I've been listening to too much Jeremy Bowen. But yeah, obviously their hotel was bombed in September, which killed 4 people in that attack. And then the game that they played following that was abandoned in the 51st minute due to an air raid siren going off, and then that wasn't finished in the end. Now, they're a big club, obviously, Shakhtar. They've had many talents. I'm sure you could bring a few off for us, Jimmy. Fernandinho.
Yeah, Fernandinho.
Douglas Costa.
Douglas Costa, Mudryk.
Yeah, well, yeah, he
in
obviously moved to
recent
Chelsea
years.
for 89 million.
Which is a mental thing,
Fred,
by the way, looking
Willian,
at Mudryk now.
Fred Willian.
Yeah,
You know.
Henrik Mkhitaryan played for Shakhtar Donetsk.
Did he?
Did he?
He did, yeah. Now, obviously, that's obviously a massive, complexity for them to still be playing sport in a war-torn country. But sort of to show how they're still playing shows there's a lot of resilience for them. And they've got Arsenal on Tuesday night in the Champions League. So to still be playing football in, a country blighted by war, I just thought it was a.
Oh, it's very
I mean, I was
little
going to be
story to
rooting
share.
for them anyway because they're not Arsenal, but even more
Yeah.
so now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to have to wrap up, aren't we?
Yeah, I think
we just hit the hour mark. Not quite.
I think Joe and Alfie have got to shoot.
Yeah.
I've got to quickly throw in one more thing. This was a request from my mate Tom Ellsby, regular listener and friend of the pod, and he wanted me to chat rugby just for a second and mention Newcastle Falcons, who won their first match in 581 days.
Christ on a bike. That'll be Wolves.
Ending a 25-match losing run. They beat Exeter Chiefs 24-18. So well done to Newcastle.
I feel good
Falcons.
Story for Newcastle there.
Yeah.
Respect.
I think, we'll wrap it up there.
Great.
Right, no, right, let me remember what I'm going to say. You got to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow the Do Lakes on Instagram.
Thank you.
Follow This Is LSR_sport on Instagram. Then go on Spotify, leave us a rating. Share this podcast with your friends. Enjoy your week. I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Come to Wing Wednesdays.
Come to Wing Wednesdays.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, come to our football game, which is at 3 o'clock, but I don't know where yet.
Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of that.
Love and guidance.
Guidance?
Yeah, have you not seen AB's videos?
No.
Where, like, you know, the Yo Family guy? And at the end of the video, he goes, like, love and guidance to your loved ones. But yeah, no, right. I'm just rambling. I've been Chris Tarkor. Let's just say our names.
Yeah, I've been Johnny Rainbow.
I've been Alfie Langford.
And I've been Jimmy Blackburn.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank
We'll
you.
be back with you next Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.